Alexandra Eala's heartwarming Australian Open debut ends in a loss to Parks. Melbourne, Australia, AP. The long queue of fans outside Court 6, the chants of Alex, 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 and the fluttering Philippines flags all pointed to where Alexandra Eala was making her Australian Open main draw debut. The 20-year-old Eala made the most of the football-style atmosphere in the first set Monday before Alicia Parks found a way to block all that out and rally for a 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 win. Eala has developed a big following in the last year after a breakthrough tournament in Miami where she beat 4 seeded players, including number 2 ranked Iga Swiatek, before losing in the semifinals. She reached the final at Eastbourne after going through qualifying in June. The fan base expanded again when she beat Clara Towson in a long third-set tiebreaker in the first round at the US Open last year for her first win in a major. Sports fans in the Philippines have embraced her journey. Organizers could easily have filled one of the big show courts at Melbourne Park for Eala's opener against Parks. Filipino fans were still lined up outside in the third set. For those who got seats, Eala stayed long after Parks had left court and signed autographs. "Yeah, it was so heartwarming," she said. "That's one of the things that makes a loss like today a little bit harder. The fact that everyone came out and really squeezed into that cozy court, I really appreciate it. I felt so loved. But then again, Alicia played really well. And I just hope that the support continues with the losses along with the wins. I think that would really touch me." The vociferous crowd was a distraction for Parks in the first set, but the 25-year-old American harnessed the emotions in the second. "It was very difficult," Parks said. "I was expecting it, but I wasn't. She definitely has a good crowd. I just kept telling myself to stay in the zone." Parks got an early break in the second set before Eala rallied to get back on serve. Parks won the last 3 games to take it to a deciding third set and then dominated. "I was just so focused on the crowd in the first set, which is why it went the way it went," she said. "I don't know what my record is with crowds against me. It definitely puts a fire on me." While Parks advanced, Eala will have to use the singles loss as motivation for the doubles. "I'm still young, 20, so learning how to deal with all of this attention," she said. "I guess this is one of the moments that I can reflect on what this means for Philippine tennis. I'm the only Filipina in the draw this year. I'm the only Filipina that's ever been in the draw, I think. So there are positives to take away." Beginning written in blue, Alexandra Eala at the Australian Open. The Melbourne Sun has a way of telling the truth. It reveals effort in the sheen of sweat, hope in the way a player looks across the net, and courage in every step taken toward the baseline. On that bright Australian Open morning, Alexandra Eala walked onto the court not merely as an opponent to Alicia Parks, but as a young dream stepping into the wide, echoing halls of possibility. For Eala, this was not just a debut. It was a culmination. Years of early mornings, of courts that baked under tropical heat, of long flights taken with rackets as companions, had carried her here. The blue court stretched out like an ocean, unfamiliar yet inviting, and as she bounced the ball before her first serve, there was a quiet poetry in the moment. A Filipina teenager, once a child hitting balls against concrete walls, now stood on one of tennis's grandest stages. The scoreboard would later record a loss. History books would reduce the match to numbers and names. But the truth of that day lived elsewhere. From the opening games, Eala played with a sincerity that reached beyond technique. Her strokes were clean, her footwork disciplined, but more than that, her tennis spoke of belief. Every rally was contested with care, as though she understood that this court demanded honesty. Against Parks's power and experience, Eala did not shrink. She absorbed pace, redirected force, and chose patience over panic. There were moments when the crowd leaned forward, sensing something tender unfolding. A perfectly timed backhand down the line. A deft drop shot that kissed the net and fell silent. A rally won not by brute strength, but by intelligence and nerve. Each point was a sentence in a larger story, one still being written. Yet tennis, like life, is not generous with fairy tales. Alicia Parks brought with her the weight of expectation and the authority of someone who had walked these courts before. Her serve cracked through the air, her forehand dictated terms, and gradually, the match tilted. Experience asserted itself not cruelly, but inevitably. Eala fought on. She always did. Even as games slipped away, her body language remained composed, her eyes clear. There was no collapse, no surrender. Loss came not as a storm, but as dusk does, slowly, softly, undeniable. When the final point was played, the applause felt different. It was not the roar reserved for victors, but something warmer, more personal. Recognition. In defeat, Eala found something greater than a win. She found a rival. After the handshake at the net, she paused for a moment, taking in the stands, the lights, the enormity of where she stood. It was the look of someone who understood that this was only the beginning, that the court had tested her and found her worthy of return. For young athletes, debuts can be cruel. The stage can overwhelm, the moment can consume. But Eala's first Australian Open match did not swallow her. Instead, it revealed her. It showed a player unafraid of the future, willing to meet challenge with grace. Back home, thousands watched with quiet pride. In her movement, they saw possibility. In her composure, they saw representation. In her courage, they saw themselves. She carried not just her own dreams onto that court, but the hopes of a nation still learning to believe it belongs in tennis's global conversation. The loss to Parks will one day become a footnote. What will endure is the image of Alexandra Eala standing tall under the Melbourne sun, unbroken, eyes forward, heart open. Tennis careers are not shaped by single matches, but by moments of truth. This was one of hers. And as she left the court, racket in hand, the future followed closely behind.